Hi there guys, my name's Graham and I work with a lot of entry-level professionals who are just starting out in the world of work. I keep getting asked the same question, and that's how is COVID-19 or coronavirus going to impact the jobs market? It's already impacted the wider economy and it's a serious disease, and in no way am I trying to take away from the seriousness of it as a virus, and I salute the NHS and all the medical workers who are on the front line fighting the virus and the disease. On a personal level, I've seen many family members, friends, ex-colleagues lose jobs or business as a direct result of coronavirus. There's no question that the jobs market is going to become even harder. We need to be asking ourselves, how can we stand out? To help answer this question, I've got my colleague Steve Cook on a video call, who's going to give his input as a hiring manager on how coronavirus and COVID-19 is going to impact the economy and the jobs market. Hi there, Steve.
Hi Graham, thank you. My name's Steve Cook. Over the last 20 years I've forged a career in sales, starting from a humble telemarketer and working my way all the way to a head of sales for an international software company. Throughout that time I've held probably 12, 13 positions and have interviewed more than 500 people for roles that I've had advertised.
Just how tough do you think it's going to get out there in the jobs market?
Graham, I think it's going to become incredibly difficult out there to find good quality employment. Prior to COVID-19 causing the disruption that it is, there were 60 applicants for every job that was advertised. Unfortunately, we've seen masses of people lose their jobs, and we've seen companies stop trading. What that's going to mean is that there's going to be fewer companies that are going to be employing people and a lot more people going for those jobs. So as a competitive environment, it's going to become incredibly tough.
How do successful people land great roles, and what do they do differently?
Graham, good candidates are always going to get good jobs. That's never going to change, no matter how the economy is affected by any disruption. But what we are going to find is we're going to find that there are a lot of people who would normally be able to secure really good jobs that are going to struggle. And there is a difference between people who are successful and understand a job search process compared to people who are a really good candidate and can't articulate the benefits that they have to a new employer.
How does a hiring manager choose a candidate if they've already got 3 good ones in front of them?
Graham, successful people are able to break the job search process down into bite-sized chunks. They're able to create documentation that demonstrates their value to potential employers. They're able to go into an interview and confidently demonstrate what they've been doing and how that applies to the role that is being advertised and being offered. They're able to discuss the benefits, and they're able to explain why they are the best person for the job. The best person doesn't always get the job. It's the one that is able to convince the hiring manager that they can do the job best is the one that gets it.
So come on, Steve, cut to the chase. What are your tips?
I think it's really simple, Graham. I think that the biggest mistake people make is they think that the job search process is about them. It's about their CV. It's about their interview questions and how they answer them. And it's not. It's about the hiring manager. It's about the role. It's about what needs to be achieved to be successful in that role. And I think the people who don't understand where they are in the job search process, that don't understand what's expected of them, come across as being unprepared, come across as being arrogant, come across as being a bad fit in the organisation. They come across as they couldn't do the job as well as others. It doesn't mean that they can't do the job. It doesn't mean that they wouldn't be fantastic in the role that they've applied for. It just means that they've not been able to articulate their value to the hiring manager at the right time.
Is a CV just a foot in the door, or is it more than that?
Absolutely. A good CV will tell potential employers a huge amount about you as a person and how good you will be in the role that they have advertised. However, it won't give them all the information. It is ultimately a retrospective review of what you've achieved in your career to date. Now, some of that information within the CV could be really important, some of it might not be, but ultimately what it does is it provides an employer the ability to have a first pass at weeding out some of the candidates that they know are not suitable and start selecting the candidate pool that is going to be suitable before going through the interview process, which is where actually candidates are genuinely evaluated against each other and ultimately one being selected.
How should you sell yourself, and should you even sell yourself?
Absolutely, Graham, but I think there's a massive misconception of what selling yourself an interview actually is. I think it brings images of car salesmen trying to convince you to buy a car that you don't really want or don't really need. What selling is about, it's about understanding what is needed to become successful and then demonstrating that you have those capabilities and the experience to achieve the goals that is needed within that role. It's not about boasting, it's not about overestimating how good you are, it's not about half-truths and inflating people's egos. It's about being honest, but also about asking some really good questions and trying to understand what's actually needed to be successful, and then just being truthful.
It sounds complicated, but I'm guessing there's an easy way to learn it to make it a core set of principles.
I think candidates need to understand how complicated a good job search is to get the jobs that they really want. It's not a matter of quickly going to a job board, putting in a couple of search terms and lobbing a CV over and hoping for the best. It's making sure that you genuinely understand the value that you've been delivering in the roles that you've had. It's about making sure you understand the role that you want to get. It's about making sure your documentation that you provide actually backs up the information given by the advert to say, I can actually do this role. I'm not just applying for the sake of applying. And then when you're actually executing an interview, making sure you understand what somebody needs to hear from you and see in the work that you've already done so they can actually evaluate you against the competition for that job. So it's a more complicated process than I think people give it credit for.
What are the stages you go through to hire or be hired? Do you have a process that you follow? Could you share it?
We've broken the job search process down into three key areas. The first is preparation, understanding the value that you currently give and understanding what the role is you want to do. We have a go-to-market environment whereby you understand where to look for those jobs and how to read and effectively evaluate job adverts on job boards. The documentation that needs to be created, and also preparing for interviews. And then we have finally the execution stage, the actual going to an interview, answering questions and preparing for a negotiation to final salary.
So basically, this is a skill that you learn, that you grow, that you perfect.
Yeah, like any skill, it can be learned. There's no rocket science here. There's no magical pill that people take that suddenly make them excellent at doing this. It's about following some simple principles and being methodical in the way that you go about your job search. It's about making sure that you are prepared, and the more prepared you are, the better success you're going to see.
Can you be a bit more specific, please, Steve?
Absolutely. Like everything in life, if you work smarter, it's often better than working harder. And if you're able to be smart in how you go about looking for a job, you will be more successful and you will be able to get the jobs that you want rather than having to take jobs just because they are offered to you.
All right, signing off now. Thank you so much for watching. Guys, please like and subscribe. And if you need any help now, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Details are below. Take care, guys. Stay safe out there.